How do you keep your L10 meetings from getting a little stale? There's 3 tips to make sure you don't get in ruts. I know consistency is key, but there's 3 strategies you can use to keep people on their toes while staying inside the L10 framework. The first one, we see issues with communication frequently, especially on bigger teams. Say you have a 25, 30 person team, so you have sub L10 meetings going on. So our first tip when you have these communication issues is you have the member from one team join the other L10 meeting. Keep it that simple. Intentionally, the people that are having communication problems, the integrator needs to step in and say, hey, if you're in charge of sales, maybe you go to the ops meeting, you plug in, you add your issues, you just are there to be present, to participate in the segue, to make sure everybody knows you're a human being. Just because you're in sales doesn't mean you're not a human being. Ops, they're not crazy, just trying to grow at all risks. But you have people come to the meetings, you interrupt that cadence by putting the new person in there. There's a couple of things this does. This does break down communication barriers in a big way. Second thing, it creates more consistencies across your level 10 meetings. Second tip, if you got big issues, you do a big async push. So you do an async push where there's a video async review of something. I'll give you an example. If you're having communication problems or people don't understand when rocks are finished on other teams or even their own team, maybe you do an asynchronous video review, 4 to 6 minute video. You make sure the person kind of recaps the important things so you're not using your time in your level 10, but maybe it's on the issues list. Maybe it's like a info share, async review of this rock that we tackled in Q2. So that's one way to do it. One thing that helps, it's multifaceted. If you see people stop doing prep for your L10s, an async review with something meaty and substantial in that forces that issue and forces the discussion. So why aren't you ranking the issues list? Why aren't you getting your issues in the meeting before time? Why aren't you spending some time on the pre-prep? Obviously, you'll say it nicer than that, but it brings these issues to the forefront because you are intentional about bringing a meaty issue or meaty information share. The rock one, where people don't know what's finished with other people's rock, is a great example of one way you can bring in async communication to your level 10, and then you're using the time in your level 10 for meatier discussion, right? You're not just doing kind of a recap. The last thing that we recommend, kind of mixing things up, is in the data section. So a lot of times we get in this weekly, if you've done your data right, it's like all prevent stuff. It's like, okay, you got your right data, you're seeing things are on track, things are going swimmingly well. But one of the things, with any control you do, this is probably the accountant in me talking, you have prevent and detect controls, right? So you have data that helps you prevent things from going wrong, and then you go and check out what went wrong. So I would challenge you, once a month, consider using a totally different data source. It's going from the weekly data in the normal meetings to a monthly kind of detect problem. How did we do for the month? When you move to data, right, when you get into that weekly cadence, you get away from some of the basics, especially your level 10, you're getting away from the income statement, some of the balance sheet stuff, kind of like the overall health scorecard. So consider that data section once a month, switching up from the prevent data with like the weekly stuff that's going well, and break it up with a monthly call out of what's going on. I know some of the tools like 90 have that built in, but you still got to be really intentional about moving to the monthly data and not just kind of ramming through a weekly. If you feel like data's getting stale, why not throw in once a month that kind of backwards recap and really digging in to what happened, see if everything's going well and you really are preventing the problems on the back end. So hopefully this helps with these 3 tips. You can make your L10s more effective. I'm the Tech CPA.